Good morning, everybody. This is Rama on Writing with our Business of Writing and Publishing webinar coming to you live from a very dark Kailua Kona, Hawaii. As we approach the end of the year, we start to think about, where do we go from here? What are our goals? What kind of things we need to accomplish, for next year? And if you've been on any of my webinars, you'll be quite clear that I talk about planning on a regular basis. I truly think that this is one of the missing components of our program and of authors in general. I remember when I wrote my first book, I really wanted to write the book, but I really didn't think about what I was going to do with it after it. And in the retreat, Tom talked about publishing, and I signed up for the publishing program. At that point in time, I didn't realize that I'd end up by working with Tom and helping other authors publish their books. But I think that as this program has evolved over the 3.5, 4 years that I've been working with Tom, we have stressed getting that bigger vision out there to the authors at the beginning of the program. And I think it does help us to look at where we are going to go with our writing careers, whether we're just writing our book for a bucket list, whether we're writing it for family. All of this stuff impacts how the book comes out. And it also kind of impacts what we're going to do with our writing lives. And as I look at the faces on this webinar, I see that a lot of the authors really want to make a go at being an author or a writer, and to see if we can actually make a financial impact for ourselves, as well as getting our message out there. I truly think that all of us are great writers. And if you look at one of the postings on my Facebook page, Promote Your Book Now, I think it was Michael Hyatt's quote saying that, something along the lines that, hey, it doesn't mean anything unless you have a promotion program in place or a promotion vision. And so that was kind of where I wanted to go today, and have all of us, once we're, off the webinar and as the next couple of weeks come around, let's all vision, what are our goals for this coming year? I mean, are we going to write books, additional books? Are we going to do YouTube videos? Are we going to search out and become speakers? Where's our platform going to develop? Because all of you know that if you don't sit down and look at a plan, then we really are left to the universe. And sometimes we're very lucky, and the universe, does move us in the right direction. And sometimes the universe kind of just sits pat because it's waiting for us to, ask or define where we want to go. So let's not leave it to chance. Let's really define our goals for the year, whether that's finishing a book, whether that's coming to another retreat to write a book, whether that's getting a social media presence going, a blog presence going. I mean, there are so many different things that we can do to move our book careers forward. And if we don't really sit down and identify it and plan for it, it becomes very overwhelming as to what do we do. And I think all of you have experienced that that overwhelming feeling at times. When we entered into this program, most of us figured that writing the book was going to be the hard part because we'd labored with that, and we never even thought about publishing it perhaps, or more importantly, promoting it. What does that actually mean? And, we do have authors that are looking for a way of paying somebody and then sitting back and letting them promote the book. And there are people that do that. But the reality is that it can get very expensive, and the results are really not going to pan out necessarily to being a return on that investment. Certainly not unless we actually get active. That was one of the big flaws in traditional publishing. Unless the author took the active role, the promotion really lagged well behind, and many of the best-selling authors of our time are moving to self-publishing because of that. Once we have a name, it's easy to say, hey, I got a new book and sell 1 million copies. I mean, we're not in that vein, but those authors are thinking, well, why do I give away all my profit to someone to promote my book, when in reality they're in control of their own promotion? So we do need to build our footprint online and in the real world, and each of us can benefit from taking a look at other websites that are related to our topic. You see, this is the easiest way to attract new customers, new contacts. Growing our network is to find a network that's out there that's already flourishing and plug into it. And as all of you that have been on these webinars have heard me say, a lot of times it takes a little time to establish a rapport before it's appropriate to start, waving our own flag, so to speak. So this kind of thing takes some time, and it also takes some time to find these websites, whether they're forums, there's blogs, there's even Facebook groups and Twitter groups and LinkedIn groups that are all associated with our bigger topic. And whether that's genre specific or interest specific, this is the direction that we can all go. It's out there. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do research for each and every one of you and say, okay, here's a list of 12 websites that you need to plug into. So this rests on your shoulders. And it rests on my shoulders for me. Nobody does this for me either. So it's probably going to pan out, very well for us if we take this course. So my recommendation, gang, is for the next couple of weeks to devote some time to finding these online resources that are already active, and let's plug in and start commenting and posting and establishing that rapport with these groups, because this is our audience, and these other websites are further down the rabbit hole, so to speak, and they've already collected people and gotten things going. So obviously what you're going to be looking for is a website that is very active, a forum or blog. And the way you determine that is by looking at the dates that things are posted. How often are things posted? How new is the posting? And then take a look at comments. And that's where we start ourselves, is to start making comments on these blog postings or in these forums. And, as time goes by, establishing our own blog is pretty critical, and perhaps even setting up a forum. When I was talking to Denise, and this was several months ago, she mentioned, well, it's really easy to set up a forum on your website. And that can be effective Bear in mind that everything starts slowly. And even today, there's 2, 4, 6, there's only 7 people on this webinar. And, that's not necessarily a lot of reach, but it's still something that I enjoy doing and something that we all learn from. And when I speak for myself too, so that I can hear my words and maybe get a little more motivated to move forward with my own writing career. So, the bottom line is that we always need to continue to move forward. And that way, our footprint online and in the real world grows. And some of us have the opportunity to set up speaking engagements, whether it's at adult community centers or if we're dealing with a disease. There's a lot of outpatient care facilities. I was speaking to one gal this week who wrote a book about cancer, and I started to talk to her about, well, where can she plug in? And there's a huge host. We kind of have to become as creative with our promotion as we did with our writing. And I think that most of us really never anticipated that, and we don't necessarily look at it in that way. But I'm telling you that it's real important to establish that sort of modus operandi and start looking and do this on a regular basis. Establish goals like, okay, this week I'm going to find 3 new websites or groups that I can participate with, and slowly grow that to 100 if that's what it takes. This stuff is the most critical and most important component of being a successful author. And we're all babies. We're all at the beginning of this process. No matter how long we think we've been into it, we're all at the very beginning. So, let's raise the bar this coming year. Let's set very good and strong goals. One of the things that I've always been an advocate for or of is that rather than setting a goal where you say, oh, well, I'm shooting for the stars, I always think that you want to shoot beyond the stars. You don't want to. One of the things that I've learned is that if you set your goals in a way that you can materially, in the material conscious world, accomplish them, then you're leaving money on the table. You need to go beyond what's materially, accomplishable, and then the universe will kick in, and it will take you to those miraculous, accomplishments. That's what the universe does for all of us. And it's taken me a long time to understand how that works, but I truly believe that that's what all the great metaphysical people are talking about. The Secret talks about it. All the subgroups that came out of the Secret are all talking about, using the universe to create our vision in our life. And in order to do that, we have to, kind of go beyond what our analytical mind can fathom. And by doing so, the universe will pick up the slack and it will get us there. And it'll get us further than we could possibly ever get if we just held ourselves back limited ourselves by material accomplishments. So anyway, that's your Rama-ism for today. Let's shoot beyond the goals that we can possibly conceive of with our analytical mind. And let's really, kind of flower with this. No one's going to do it for us. And I think that, we often look for that. you know, I build a lot of dependency in this timeline with authors, and sometimes they can't even fill out their correction sheets because they think, well, Rama will fill it out. I'll just send him an email. And I hate doing those kind of things because then I become responsible for the corrections and stuff. So, I really want everybody to, step up to the plate, and myself included. I mean, I'm the worst of the bunch. I mean, you all are accomplishing much more on your personal, writing goals than I seem to be able to do. So, let's all look at ourselves and look very deeply, and put the calendar together, put the little notes together, put them up on our mirrors. Let's excel this year. Let's go beyond what we thought we could accomplish. And in doing so, we will reach higher heights, and, we'll become successful. And of course, success is a measure that is different for everyone. When I hear that somebody enjoyed my book and they laughed, to me, that's a great success. Many of you authors have read my book, and when I'm talking to you, you give me great kudos for my writing style, and it's a very light kind of style. It's not deep literature, and I don't want to write deep literature, but some of you, do. Some of you are great writers, and we all have our own abilities and our own skills and our own measure of success. So, these are real personal steps that we all need to talk to ourselves about, and really dig deep on this one, gang. So anyway, I don't really have much else to say. So if anyone's got any comments or questions about how to set goals or where they should go, or even how to find, blogs and forums that are in our genre, you can unmute yourself and ask some questions, and we can, take a look at who's done some of this stuff and what they found. So anyone's got any comments or questions, or just support for each other, you're able to unmute yourself, and I'll give everyone a second to do so. Anyone got anything to say today?
I have a question or some help.
Okay.
Always big picture, that big goal, and what do I do in the next half hour? Right now, I don't know what's the right thing to do. Is when I look at that big goal and all the blogging and stuff I got to do, I just get overwhelmed, and I get as tired as if I was doing it. What's working for me right now is saying, okay, all I have to do is find one group and make a comment. And, that's as far as I can go today. And that's my goal. But I know it will lead, it seems to always do that. I just wondered how other people handle that overwhelm with the big picture, that big goal. Shooting beyond the stars. It's like, what? It was hard to get out of bed this morning. Never mind beyond the stars.
Well, you actually raise a really good point. If we do shoot so high that we can't fathom it, how do we get there, and what do we do? And the obvious answer is just as you described. Knock it out one by one. Whether it's one a day. I mean, you think about this, Tom, and if we all find a place to post, one new place a day, after a year we found 365, or let's just say 200. 200 places to post. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. And so it is those little steps. So as we create that big vision, we also have to take the step back and say, well, what are the steps that I can do to get there? And that's what you're talking about. If we don't, take that look back and say, well, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this, we will not get there. And if we, allow it to paralyze us, which is really easy for all of us, to get paralyzed to the point where we think it's too hard a job to do and we don't do anything, then, we don't grasp, we don't get anywhere. So you've got the right path there, is knock them off one by one. Anyone else want to add something?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I think of a couple of things with this question. I love the one by one. I find the same. I get overwhelmed sometimes by reading other blogs, other posts, Facebook. It's almost too much information. But what I really came to in the last week or so is that I'm a great learner, and I can easily sink into the learning, and I've discovered that I need to do what other people are doing. In other words, I look at blogs sometimes, I look at posts, and I think, wow, I could do that. Well, then I need to do it. That sense of, there are two things I think tied up in that. One is that come along saying, oh my gosh, you'll never catch up. Like, you'll never catch up with that blog or that person. Look what they've developed. And not letting myself step into that. And the second is the knowing that I can do that. And sometimes I have to walk away from everybody else's work in order to put the time into mine, in almost like a solitary kind of way, because I get too distracted by everyone else's. So I don't know. I mean, that's part of what I'm really working on for myself, is that knowing that I actually can do what I see other people doing. But if I don't put those blocks of time into place to write out of my own head, I'll never get it done.
Great discernment here. What I heard is that there's a research component and a doing component, and I truly think that that's exactly what's out there. So thank you, Don. I think that both Tom and Bill are unmuted at this point in time. So, Bill, I know you were waving your hands. What do you have to add today?
I totally forgot. No, I'm just kidding. I have a really good story, because I think when I wanted to ski. I wrote about this in my book. I wanted to be a great skier. I always loved it. I grew up, reading these magazines, but I couldn't do it because my parents didn't ski and we weren't in a place where I could do it. But I finally got a chance. I go over all this in the book, but I finally got a chance to go out to Jackson Hole for a vacation. And I didn't come back. I stayed. But it was something that I had visualized for a long time. And when I was standing in Jackson Hole at the bottom of the hill, I dropped over the phone, got a job there during the 10-day period that we were there, and figured out how to stay. So I saw this guy that I knew, one of my friends that I had met there knew, and he was fantastic. He was just an artist, and he would just flow over these, like at 40 miles an hour, sailing over things. And I went, I want to do that. I want to do that. And I was terrible, because I'd just never done it. All I did and I finally got to that point where I was definitely there. I wound up on the Pro Freestyle Skiing Tour and everything else. All I did was show up every day. That's all I did. I had that, and I tried, and some days it was so hard. I went, I just suck. I'm never going to get there. And it's just like you go, shut that off. And you have a clear picture of what you want, and you want it. If you really want that, don't worry about it. Just show up every day. And pretty soon you'll look back and you'll go, God, look at all those things I've done. And I showed up. I made it go with my work and everything else. I made it so I worked at night. And every day I just got up and went to the hill and I skied every day. And you know, it was so frustrating. But now I can look back and I go, you know, it took me a long time to get to that point. You look at a gymnast that's just an artisan in the Olympics, and they started out and they couldn't even do a somersault when they started. And they were little, you know, but they just kept showing up, you know, just kept showing up and doing it. And it takes just, you know, when you're digging a ditch, you just stick the shovel in there and throw it out. And after a long time, you look back and you made quite a bit of progress. And it's so easy to focus on what else is doing. And that's such a trap because we're here on our own path. Our own path is what matters, you know, because we came here to follow our path. And, you know, it's so easy to, our society tries to get us to compare to everybody else. And it just doesn't work. It's not very productive as a rule. It usually just triggers some invalidation of our own work. And that's terrible to do that. So get the vision. Don't worry about it. Just keep looking at that vision and then just show up every day and do, if you're really focused on getting there, you feel it, you go, that'll be so awesome to be there. Your instinct and your intuition will, that's the next thing you should do. And the universe will help you meet that person you need to meet that can help you do that. That's how using the universe will help, you know? So that's kind of what I wanted to say. Just focus on your own path, but have the picture of what you want. And then don't worry about it. Just make it possible for yourself to show up every day and keep moving toward that thing. And then just, it'll take care of itself. That's it.
And there was a big round of applause from
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. But you'd be surprised at how much you've accomplished already. You know, if you really start looking at it and where you started from when you first showed up at the first retreat, how much you've gotten done since then. It's pretty awesome, you know. And yeah, you could always do more. But you could always do a lot less than you've done too. So forget about that, you know. Just look about the goal. It's all about seeing yourself, what you want. So there you go. That's my 2 cents.
Sounds good. Sounds good. You know, one of the things I remember, before I started writing my book, I went to a retreat, and it was related to a multi-level marketing program. So, you know, it had that bend, but one of the components was that we wrote affirmation cards. And so the plan was that you write up these cards and you repeat them a few times every day. And one of those affirmations was writing the book. And I set a timeline. You know, that was one of the things they mentioned, is that, you know, set a timeline, give it a date, give it a year or whatever. And I did that. And, you know, the odd thing was that even though it wasn't the correct year, it was the correct time. It was exactly a year later from when, you know, I had given myself, and it was a year before that I wrote the affirmation. I repeated and repeated and repeated, and then I lost interest in that. But I think I repeated it enough that it really stuck in the universal mind. And so it did get accomplished, although, as I say, a year later, which is, you know, better late than never, right?
Well, yeah.
And so we might want to take that approach a little bit also, is to write down those affirmations. And, you know, a lot of, you know, shall I say, New Age retreats are based on that component, writing the affirmations, posting them on our bathroom mirror so that we see it on a regular basis, repeat it as often as we find time to or can remember to. And in doing a simple thing like that, we kind of imprint in both our universal mind and the greater universal mind some of these goals and things that we want to accomplish, and it does help. That's all I can say, is that, you know, these little tools can help us. And even if we don't necessarily take the active role of doing it, sometimes things line up if we ask for it.
Yep. And I've accomplished a lot of things, and most things wind up taking me a year longer than I thought. Because in your mind you can go, how tough can it be? But in the physical universe, it can be. You just can't believe all the little things you get wrapped up in. So the time, if you accomplish it a year later, who cares? Or 2 years later, or even 3. That's just the time thing is kind of like, that gives you an urgency, but it's not wrong if you didn't get there in the exact date you predicted, as long as you got there, really, as far as I'm concerned, unless it was something you were late for and now you can't do, but that's not what we're doing, So.
That's the story of my book. The original inspiration was 7 years ago. So the book finally is in print this fall. But I still feel all the satisfaction and no regret, really. That part of the project is done. Yes, it took much longer than I thought it would, maybe longer than it should have, but it's done and it feels good. If I can add one thing, the woman who spoke previously, she shows up as Dawn Pyle. Is it Dawn?
Yep, that's her name, Dawn.
Okay,
Just like the sunrise.
Okay. If I understood you correctly, what I gathered as you were speaking was compartment. If I misunderstood that, forgive me. But I find that out of all the things I imagine that I could be doing, I need to seize on one thing and to the exclusion of the others so as not to feel overwhelmed. Now, this is not news. We've all heard of this strategy, realize the importance of not being overwhelmed. So I'll find one little thing and I'll just simply dive in and work on that. And it makes it much easier. And an hour goes by, 2 hours, or maybe it's taken me the day to figure out how to get through it. But that's one more little thing. As Bill says, it's done. And so, and I find that there is such a universe of information, with Google. Here we are in this golden age of information. If I just keep scratching around, last week I came across a couple of web radio programs. So I wrote a pitch and sent it off. And so far they've yielded absolutely nothing. However, I have opened the door in my own understanding and imagination to web radio. So here I've got this great pitch. All I have to do is copy and paste that, and I can keep going on web radio programs forever. One of these days, one of these guys is going to catch, and who knows what will happen after that.
Yep.
Well, Bill Murphy just had a web radio presentation, and I had posted it on my reminder for everybody, and I saw that Maurice is going to be doing one in early January. I would imagine that person is open to other authors. So if you haven't taken that step, contact that person. Tell them Bill and Maurice and Tom Bird and Denise, and give the names. There's no point in not name dropping, because it can open some doors occasionally. And there are, as Tom mentioned, this is a huge resource out there for all of us to take advantage of, to speak to different groups. And I speak to this group here on a regular basis, and sometimes it's small and sometimes it's large, and it doesn't really matter to me, as long as there's a couple of people that show up and participate and step up to the plate. Then I know I'm having an impact. And the one thing that I can't stress enough, and I've done this over and over and over again, is that we never know which action that we take is the one that's going to put us, over the top. It's that 100th monkey concept is that, hey, and from all the feedback I've gotten from the authors, their biggest successes come from the oddest places. So, keep that in mind, that just because, someone else succeeded by doing this one thing doesn't mean that that's going to lead to success for you. And it might be that person you met in line in the grocery store that you happened to speak to and gave a bookmark out, or even a copy of your book out, that became that resource that pushed you into a new arena. I know that at first, all of us, want to get money for our books. I remember, I was there as well, and a year later, I'm not at all concerned. If I see somebody that I feel could benefit from the book, and might even write a review somewhere or make a posting on Facebook or something like that, I have no problems giving a book out. And although it's cheaper to give out an ebook to somebody, I'm into the printing of my book for a couple of bucks. Geez, I've lost that much money over and over again just by it falling out of my pocket. So, one of the things that many authors do is they kind of set up a budget or a component of their marketing, saying, look, I'm going to give away 200 copies of my book this year. And things like that are very helpful. And it's good to kind of look at that as a component of our advertising and our budget. And, bear in mind that all of this is tax deductible if we have a good accountant and we want to be creative. So I used to always say that I write fiction once a year when I give my numbers to my accountant for taxes.
Rama, let me can I? Let me jump in quick here. Maybe I've missed something, but I think it would be really handy if we shared a Facebook page. Now, Rama, I know you already have one, but there's so much stuff up there that's more in depth. What I'm reaching for here, if I can get my thoughts together, is I would like to see a place where we can simply share our ideas with each other as authors. These little remarks. I did this week. Here's a website for you guys. Here's a web radio piece. Someplace where we can ask a quick question of the whole group, and also drop in, as I say, our particular suggestions for avenues, promotional avenues. Does it exist? Have I been missing the boat? What do you guys think about this? What could we do, or has it been done?
Actually, Tom Bird's group, Writers Unite, it's a Facebook group, right?
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it here.
We have community here. This particular group. Now, maybe I'd be wrong to think of limiting to this, but I feel like you guys are friends, and so I would really appreciate having a chance to be in communication with you guys through the course of a week between webinars. Promise I won't send too much stuff.
Yeah, right. Okay. Writers helping writers.
There is a web page, but I really don't know if this is what you're exactly talking about, because this looks like one of Tom's marketing components, and I think we're looking for something a little different. There is Writers and Readers Unite, Tom Bird, but I suspect that was set up by one of Tom's social media people to help him promote his business.
Tell you what I'll do. I will do this. I'll set up a Facebook page. I'll send you the URL, and if you'd care to send it out to the group, then anybody who wants to like that, be part of it, then we can have that immediacy of Facebook and share our ideas back and forth, and it'll be fairly insulated, just to our group. How does that sound? Would that work?
I think it's a great idea. Tom, before you set it up, let's come up with a cute name together so that we can kind of have a nice branding component behind it, and it's something that's when we mention it sounds cool. So we can take care of that, and we can set it up, and we can use it as a forum for us to share ideas. It sounds great. I know that after every retreat, there's somebody in the retreat says, "Oh yeah, let's set up a Facebook page for this retreat," so that the group can stay together. And I've yet to see one actually get set up. There's usually somebody that says, "I'll take the responsibility to do it," but the reality is it just doesn't seem to happen. I've had also, out of each retreat, there's a desire to create a Zoom meeting once a month for that retreat. And again, somebody says, "I'll take on the responsibility," and they email back and forth to me a little bit. And, before anything actually gets set up, they stopped emailing me. Or not responding, or they get busy. So it is a problem of getting things set up. But I think it's a worthy component. And I just kind of, as I say, I just want to have like a cute enough name so that maybe there's an inside joke behind it, or whatever that actually translates to. And it's great to keep it in the community, but I'm not sure if we need to, because sometimes good ideas come from other authors. And
let's come up with a great name. Let's start it with our group. Facebook makes it so easy. So in this case, the setup, making it available, that's a no-brainer. It's simply going to hinge on how much people choose to use it or not, and that remains to be seen. If it's successful with our little group, then we can open it up to the larger community, and I can't see a downside to that.
I can't either. And we probably want to talk this week, Tom, on that, and just bat around a few ideas, because one of the things that I think we all want to do, and I'm not sure exactly how to do that, is we all want to be able to post about our book in particular, so that there is a Facebook, an additional Facebook component that has, hey, I wrote this book called Bloody Bloody Bloody. And there's another spot for it. And I know I've tried to do that, with certain groups, and they've actually taken it off their wall because of that. So I kind of want to investigate that a little bit, and maybe there's a permanent way. Maybe if it's a like of a book, how sometimes on your Facebook component there's a list of, well, these were the movies that I liked. So maybe there's a way.
Maybe we could agree not to. We're not going to be promoting our own work on this. This is just for us to share promotional ideas. Here was a great place for me. Anyway, you guys get it, but let's not jam up the bandwidth on this if we actually get it started with trying to actually actively promote to our own selves. That's just a little too incestual.
Yeah, I think that's good, Tom.
Yeah.
Because it's already a question I've got. I wanted to research some websites or places that have links. Okay, I want to post to this certain site or join this blog, but I want to know how many links that website has. It's $40 a month for one program I found to do that. But maybe, if I could ask the group there on Facebook and we all have some time to respond,
Yep.
we could maybe share. We could all, one of us sign up and share the expense, or I don't know. I think it's a great idea. And I don't know. Carol's Corner. How's that?
Yeah. Well, Rama and I'll work this out, and I'll actually send some ideas to you today, Rama. I could, it's a 15-20 minute project, so.
Yeah, no, it's really easy to set up a fan page, business page on Facebook, and if all of you haven't done so yet for your book, it's probably a good thing to do. This coming year, I will actually, again, do that on a webinar and allow people to click along with me and set one up. I mean, it's about as simple as it gets. And as Tom mentioned, and this is about the last thing I'm going to be able to say before we move on to the next webinar, if you can't figure out how to do anything with social media, Google is there, and if you Google the term, you will get a step-by-step procedure of how to do anything. Except those little puzzles that you buy that are all twisted and you have to undo them and stuff. For some reason, those things seem to never have a step-by-step on Google. I was checking one just the other day, and we couldn't find the answer. Anyway, I've got to move on to the next webinar. I hope to see you there. We're not going to deviate a lot from what we've talked about today, but we're going to kind of look at what we individually are going to do before the end of the year so that we all have an action step to take. Everybody, it's been my pleasure getting back in touch with you. I miss you. You're all my children. When I had the bike shop, all the bikers were my kids. Now it's all the authors. And, we have another week. I'll be back again next week as well, and then there'll be a few weeks off again before we get back into the flow. Everyone, have a great holiday if I don't see you in the next hour or next week. Take care.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.